Okay, so welcome to our latest British Web Awards interview with our content creators, and we are joined today with Catherine Scarborough, Elaine White, and Elisa Carte. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How are
Thank
we
you
all
so much
doing?
for having us.
Oh, a pleasure. Literally, when I say that, I mean it, because I really enjoy doing these. I enjoy watching the show. So when you actually then get a chance to stop and talk to all the people that are involved in it, it's great, because I think that's the one thing we've kind of missed with having an online ceremony. We miss doing this. So when I say it's a pleasure, it really is. So fantastic to see you all. So
Thank you.
why don't we just go round like our first day at school and just kind of introduce ourselves and just say what our involvement was with the hit show Big Girl. So why don't we start with you, Catherine? Start there.
Hi, I'm Catherine. I am the creator, the writer, and star of Big Girl.
Ooh,
I don't know what
next?
order we're in. I'll go. My name is Elaine. I am the producer, the DP, the art director, the marketer, all the things.
I'm Alyssa, and I am the director, producer, and Elaine and I both edited the episodes as well.
Thank you. I knew I was missing something.
Yeah.
Nice try. So let's go back to the very beginning then. So Catherine, did you write the show by yourself? Was it just yourself working on the actual scripts, was it?
Well, okay. It's so funny because it was so long ago. Sometimes all three of us were shocked to think that we started on this. Was it 2018 or 20? Yeah, it was 2018, wasn't it, guys?
I think so.
Yeah. And actually the origin story is that Elaine and I met in an improv class. I was taking Improv 101 at the People's Improv Theater, and I met Elaine, and she talked in class about how she and her business partner, Alyssa, had an indie production company together. And they cast me in a couple of short films that they had been working on over the course of months. I did a couple of things. And I had gone to acting school, but coming out of the conservatory program a few years ago, I discovered that I liked writing for myself. I like writing my own material. And I had written a play, and Elaine and Alyssa very sweetly had come to record a staged reading of it for me. And it dealt with the themes of Big Girl. None of that play really ended up in Big Girl, but they recorded this staged reading, and afterwards we were having a drink, and I think we all kind of said, we think this is a film. Should we make a film? Do you guys want to make a film? And then we met up and started having meetings, and then what happened?
A lot of brainstorming.
A lot of brainstorming. Yeah, and we did the pilot first, actually. We shot the pilot in 2018. It must have been 2017 when we started working together. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Time is no meeting.
Yeah. So we shot the pilot first. I wrote the pilot. I definitely would run drafts by the girls for advice about, okay, can we afford this? Is this shootable? Is this, because entirely I had written and worked on the stage before and not on film. And so we did the pilot, and also I have to say, what was funny to me about this is that we said to ourselves, like, okay, well, let's just make a web series first. And then we can think about, as though a web series was just like this easy little thing to do. And it turned into this huge beast that, none of us really anticipated. But anyway, so we made the pilot, and then we kind of used the pilot to crowdfund for the rest of the series. And so after the pilot had been written and shot, then I started writing the subsequent episodes. And so it was probably a year after the pilot was completed, at least, I think, that we started shooting the rest of the series.
Okay, so you got your first pilot script together, so you was all involved from the very beginning there, you just all coming there. So going back to that very first pilot then, what was the script then with putting that together? What did we think, like budget wise? How did that come about? What was you thinking there? Who wants to who wants to take that one?
I can take it.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
So we knew we wanted to crowdfund for the rest of the episodes. We knew there were going to be more. We had an idea of the arc of the story. So we wanted to do the pilot for as little as possible because that was all going to be out of pocket. We had amazing volunteers, honestly. And we partnered with a local business in our neighborhood that let us shoot there for free, except for we bought, food and drinks from them, and they were so kind to us and gave us kind of free reign of the restaurant, which was a little bananas.
While it was open. Shooting
While
in
it was
a
open.
working restaurant is an insane task.
It was absolutely crazy. But what was cool about that place too is that there were so all those dates that you see in the pilot, they look like they're in different restaurants, but they're all in the same place because every corner of that spot looked like a unique and individual restaurant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so we took over that place for 2 weekends in a row and had some lovely friends help us, and all the actors who were the dates volunteered for us, and we only ended up paying for, I think, like the camera rental and small things like that, the microphones. So we were able to scrap that one together and use it as an example of what we could do to crowdfund for the rest.
Yeah. Well, ideal, isn't it? Like you say, if you kind of create something first and you've got your prototype, and then to say get funding for the next one. So just backtracking a tiny bit there. So when you say cast, so you say was that just a lot of people you knew then to put into that very first one? Was it friends and actors and contacts you already knew? Was it, how did casting work on that one?
it was all my friends for the
really?
pilot. Yeah, it was all graduate school colleagues and people that we knew through the comedy scene. Just, and I think there were even situations where we would have one person cast and then they'd have to, for whatever reason, they weren't going to be able to make it, and then there would be a mad dash to okay, let me call every other,
Text everyone we know. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I was just going to say, I feel very lucky. I mean, I'm sure that we all do. we have a really great network of very talented people. And so casting actually wasn't that difficult because I could just think, oh, I know this great actor and that great actor. And I feel lucky. We have a great network.
I was talking to another creator, Hayden, who did the lifeguard comedy, The Pool, and he's based in Los Angeles, and so obviously casting for him was automatically going to be a lot easier because of location. But he actually, interestingly, said it was because he did drama classes once a week, so instantly he had the audience there, and that just sounds fantastic when you're mixing with people and you think that's your community and you can all work together with a thing there. So that's great. So it's kind of similar in a way, but you already knew the people involved there, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're in New York City, so it's also everybody in New York City is as a comedian or an actor. It's very easy to find good talent around here. So
yeah.
because I guess in America it's either Los Angeles or New York, isn't it? Those are the two you have to go to, and as Harrison Ford said, LA was warmer. So he said that's what his decision was, getting there. So what was kind of, when you came on board, Elaine, at the beginning, what was kind of your biggest task there of making the pilot, would you have said, when you started this?
Ooh. Well, all of it. Yeah, I mean, we were trying to kind of expand what kind of work we've been doing in the past, which is, I mean, the pilot, we kind of stuck with like a pilot, like a kind of sitcom-y, like somebody once described it as Sex in the City for fat girls, and we were like, yes, that's fabulous, we love that. So once we started moving into other genres, it was watching tons of these genres and like taking notes on what the camera styles are, and like what even, you know, coloring, if we're going to go through the whole process, like what is the, you know, obviously the black and white one is very specific, but you know, we did a mumblecore, and it was like, we need to watch a bunch of mumblecores. Okay, it's pretty dim, like everything's kind of muted. So going into every episode was like this huge research project of figuring out how are we going to translate these sort of traditional visual aspects of each genre and bring it to our series, which is otherwise very consistent in, you know, following our main character through her journey. So that was a challenge, but also super fun. And it kind of was like, oh, like I remember having to study Hitchcock, and like it worked, like it, you know, like I get it now, you know. It's I'm putting these like tropes to use. And actually we haven't done Hitchcock. We should do a Hitchcock next season.
I love
before
that.
Before we jump out, just jotting a couple of things down there, because well, we skipped too far ahead. What was the we talked about coming up with the kind of script, but what was the origins for the actual idea, apart from the play version? Was there anything in specific that just thought, I want to make this particular story, or was it just because you'd instigated the kind of earlier plays and ideas? Was it, would you say, or how did this actual origin story come about, do you reckon, or was it just based from that?
It is based on my life, actually. A lot of like every date in the pilot is a date I have been on, aside from Baby Man. Although I will say Baby Man is based on a real person, just heightened perhaps. But in the rest of the series, I wanted to write a series from the perspective of a plus size woman. I am plus sized. I wanted to tell a story that we haven't seen. I wanted to tell a story about a plus size woman that didn't hate herself, and in which she was the straight man and not the butt of the joke, or the comic relief, or, you know, any of the other, or the sad fat woman. You know, I wanted to tell a story that subverted expectations. And so all the dates are true stories. And then in the second episode, that is based on a real night out with a toxic girlfriend I had at one time in my life. Those really happened.
We really enjoyed that episode. That it just flowed really well. It was nice.
Thank you very much. And then the clown episode, searching for a party dress, that I think encapsulates the experience of trying to shop as a plus size woman. The rom-com and the mumblecore episodes are more I wouldn't necessarily say based, they're not based in truth from my life experience, but they were what I wanted to see for the character as I continued writing the series.
Can I just chuck this one out? Because that's great. And I was just going to say, I quoted Jordan Peele in a previous interview where he said, you know, you've got to write the type of thing you haven't seen done yet, and write the type of thing you want to see up on the screen. And that's part of the advantages of being on the web series scene, is you have the freedoms to make the stories you want to see, or the stories that you don't think are up there at the minute. So that's fantastic. And that's something I know I certainly loved about this series, and the hard work everyone put into it. It was great. But the really thing that caught my eye as well about it was this wonderful idea to make it mixed genre. You know, where did that come from? Who wants to jump in there with that one?
Well,
All of
With
our
Louisa and Elaine
meetings-
there, you both exchanged a look. You both...
I can't, I'm trying to remember the moment when we made that decision, but I know that we ended up leaning into it so much because we loved the idea of, we've kind of lost all this time in seeing plus size women as the leading lady in all genres. So we liked the idea of like, let's kind of make up for that lost time and see our plus size leading lady, Katie, in every genre that we can think of. Or 5 starting out. Anyway, sorry, Alyssa, did you have to add to that?
No, I was trying to remember because it is something that we were kind of floating around as things we liked about individual scripts as Catherine was writing them. And then we decided like kind of found the theme organically and then leaned into it and like narrowed focus from there. But it was just kind of like, okay, we have this going out story, we know we want a romantic story, so how do we thread these together?
I think the keystone was the clown episode, the decision to make a black and white clown. Clowning is one of my very favorite theatrical traditions. I love clowning. I studied it, and I think that was the one that, well, all of our meetings always involved a lot of wine.
In this room. In this room behind me, although it is much cleaner today than it usually was.
Are we safe today?
We're safe today. It's the middle of the afternoon here, so we're okay for a couple more hours.
You didn't all have a quick call before mine. Right, down it.
No, but we might have one after.
You're past midday now, you're okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted there.
No.
Oh, right. So I thought you were in the middle of an answer and I broke it up with my hilarious alcoholism joke. But no,
wine is
honestly,
the answer.
but I think that was such a courageous thing, like you say, to make it multi-genre. And you know, you talked about things like Hitchcock before as well and things. But for me, that's one of the bravest things you can do. And if you were mainstream, if your idea had been picked up by a studio before you made it, I don't think you would have had the creative freedom to have been able to make it mixed genre. So what you guys have done is you've exercised your kind of creative right to do that. And when I liked the idea anyway, and I liked the pilot and I liked the way it was going, but when I realized each episode was, mixed genre, I just thought how brave to do that. And then I think the last one we saw that you submitted was the clown one. And it was black and white and terrific because it was just original. It was an original idea with an original theme then later on. So I just thought, oh, terrific. So yeah, I was very interested when we were having this interview to ask you, where did the mixed genre ideas? So based on that question, just moving forward, is there any other kind of mixed genres you would like to go ahead with moving forward? What do you think?
I love Elaine, the Hitchcock idea for sure.
What would that entail? Because Hitchcock's so broad, isn't it? What would that entail?
That's a good question, Chris.
Yeah.
Are we gonna have the shower scene?
Shots.
We could have the
Right. Yeah, a lot of long shots. I feel like some kind of this is obviously spitballing, some kind of a rear window, the idea of being watched
nice.
as a woman, of just like constantly being observed and stuff, would lend really well to a Hitchcock theme.
Yeah, it could be a comment on the male gaze. Hey, look at us coming up with ideas.
Doing it again, still got it.
Yeah. or you're the one observing everyone else. You could be the Jimmy Stewart observing as well. That could be quite good. But yeah,
it's all happening, right?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
I would love to do a horror and or a musical.
Yeah.
Elaine and I
Yeah.
have wanted to make a musical, like almost every project we do. We're like, can we turn it
Can
into
this
a
be a musical?
And so eventually, Big Room's probably a good way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, like, because we, Catherine brought to our attention sort of the fat phobic and diet culture that is like steeped in everything that we see and do and experience. And it's like, now that we like, that kind of switch is turned on, and now we like, you're tuned into it, and any genre can really, like, you can really use it to kind of expose these like subtleties. Like, the idea of being watched all the time is like a traditional Hitchcock thing, but that's exactly what all women, but especially plus size women, feel like they're going through. And it's funny, you talk about the clown episode, and no spoiler alert, the idea that being able to shop and being able to find a dress that you feel pretty in is such a female experience, and especially a plus size female experience, because we've had men watch it, they're like, isn't that a little materialistic that like she needs a dress? And it's like, oh, you don't get it.
No.
being allowed to have that experience is like something everybody deserves. And it's funny how specific it is to your audience of like, yeah, we can, there's just so much. There's so much.
Yeah.
No,
Endless material.
Well, there's no end of genres anyway, so it'll be nice to see how you could add all them into it. But yeah, like you say, it's that's part of it as well, that you can touch on important issues as well, isn't it? And again, it goes back to seeing things you've not seen before. And it is the case, especially if there's some experiences that people have gone through and are going through, you know what I mean? It's kind of nice. You can use the kind of the web series genre as a mirror, and you put things up there and it will resonate, you know what I mean? So yeah, so like I say, that episode in particular, yeah, of course, because you do hear and see things like that, and you think, yeah, of course, it's great, put it up there and show it, and if you can put a story to it and make something out of it, and that's great. So you made we'll stay on the pilot for now. So putting the pilot together then, how long did it take you to make the pilot, was it? You looks it.
No, I actually think it was very fast. I just can't remember.
I wouldn't have guessed that from the face.
Yeah. I think it was just like, I think it was just like 3 weekends. There was one weekend in my apartment. Yeah. Right. It was one weekend in my apartment shooting the Katie in her chair doing the self-care stuff.
That chair that you're in now.
Yeah, the chair that I'm in now. And then the 2 weekends at the restaurant, and that was it. It was really quick.
Yeah.
Actually, okay. And so from that, was there any major problems, or did it just all flow? Is it just all nice? It just Elisa's smiling.
Working in the operating restaurant was a very intense challenge. Lots of sound problems. We couldn't control the customers. We had to have our friends who were helping us, like PA, but they were doing so much more than that. Watch the lights and make sure no one hit their heads and no one hit, like it was a bit chaotic. But we were very grateful that they let us do it at all. But that was a huge struggle.
My favorite part was it was super late and we were trying to get like the last shot. And this woman, and it was like 10 o'clock at night, and this woman had her baby at the bar who was crying. The baby was crying at 10 p.m. at a bar in New York City. It was so crazy.
City for you.
And we have a couple of really amazing photos that someone who was with us took when we were shooting a scene where Catherine's getting yelled at by one of her dates on the sidewalk. And he was cursing quite a bit. And it was just the middle of the day on the sidewalk. And people were either stopping and laughing or there were a couple people who were like yelling at us, and there's an amazing picture of me like with the boom, and I look all irritated because someone's like being sassy with us.
It's a
It's
serious
like,
stank
just
face.
relax, it's fine. It's New York. It's not like you haven't heard someone cursing on the street before. You're fine.
If you can send me that photo, we'll put it up on the screen.
Oh, amazing. Okay, great.
So
Where is
people
that?
watching now will already see it. So
Yeah.
I have it somewhere.
Do you
I'll
have it?
email it to you.
can I ask you, Lisa, then what was, because obviously you were directing this, when you got the script or the pilot and that, what was your kind of edge then with directing this? Did you have a particular theme, or was you going off the genre, or what was your method of attack
Well,
directing it?
yeah, since we were all kind of multi job doing it, since I had been involved in producing and doing kind of the initial work of it, we all had a pretty good shared vision. And so as far as on set and technical things, Elaine and I worked really, really, really closely together on look and feel, and then that lends to line delivery and you know, the way the set is operating and that kind of thing. So it was a super joint effort along with Catherine to just execute a joint vision. But I think that what I was most interested in and focused on was kind of tone delivery of the genres. And I was kind of hyper aware of that, of like, okay, we want to keep Katie kind of consistent, but the people around her will act a little different in the rom-com or in clown or in, and so that was in casting as far as performance and also in delivery. But we had really, really talented people who really understood the scripts and what we were going for. So it wasn't too hard of a challenge, honestly, because we work with really talented people.
Because there was a kind of documentary feel in some of the bits. I think it's probably Catherine's bits to cameras, isn't it, where it's kind of got that feel. And you've from looking at Film Freeway, you've done experience of documentaries before. Had you made something prior to this in documentaries?
So my day job is that I'm an editor and producer for news programming. So that's kind of my main day job experience. And so it's been in promoting documentaries, so trailers and things of that. So I have worked in documentary stuff. Elaine has actual full-length documentary experience, so I've relied on her a lot for that.
What was your experience, Elaine, then prior to joining this? So working with the documentaries as well, was it? Or
Yeah, well, so my day job is with a company called Scary Mommy, which I guess unintentional shout out, they're great. And I make video content with them. And one of the series that I've had the privilege to work on is called I Am Scary Mommy, where we kind of we profile these moms who are doing amazing things, from like, you know, building a playground from trash to opening up a birth center during COVID, like just all these different stories. And I've been able to produce, direct, and edit some of those episodes. And it's amazing, honestly. Like, I wish I could do just that all the time.
where's that distributed on?
It's all online. It's at scarymommy.com, or any of the social media handles are all just called Scary Mommy, you know, at Scary Mommy on all everything, as far
We'll
as
put a link at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, thanks.
What about
the latest one was a series about midwives opening up an emergency birth center in Manhattan. And I learned a lot about birth centers, and they're pretty amazing. And these women are awesome. So check that one out. It's great. It's called the Jazz Birth Center.
Yeah, and I can imagine doing that no day is kind of the same, is it really? It's you know, it's fascinating, isn't it? And you, like you say, you learn as you go, don't you, when you're looking at different things. So yeah, it's interesting that you come from different backgrounds, really doing that. So yeah, perfect, really. And yourself, Catherine, anything else to kind of add about just previous kind of background before doing this particular project that you think's relevant at all, anything like that? Or
Well, I think all of it is relevant.
oh yeah, everything's relative. Everything's relative.
I mean, I trained classically as an actor, and then coming out of school, and I went to the New School for Drama, and a core of our curriculum was creating new material together. That was really the basis for my training. So there were playwrights, directors, and actors. And of course, we worked on, Shakespeare and Chekhov and all of that, but the playwrights would write new material, and the directors would direct the actors in it. And I think that part of my training really prepared me to create and to be a creator of new stuff, and then right out of school, I had an artist residency with an experimental theater company in New York called Mabou Minds. Ruth Malachek and Joanne Akalaitis, that group, and through them I developed a play about my personal experiences, my family history. I'm from the Southern United States, so there's a lot there. And that all prepared me, I think, for writing from personal experience, writing from a place of vulnerability, having flexibility, I think, in working with new material and collaborating, for sure.
It's fascinating because, we talk about, you want to get involved and you want to make something and do something, but like you've all said, and I can relate so much, it's Jesus, you've got to just wear so many hats, haven't you, if you want to get it done, because we're not all going to get grants, we're not all going to get help, but our scripts aren't all going to land on the production counter, and I've certainly myself struggled with everything I've ever made. I've constantly struggled. So I've always said I've got the best success story. The only thing I'm missing is success. So, stay tuned for that.
I always say it's easy to make stuff when you have all the money in the world. The challenge is working when you got to be a little scrappy, and that's kind of what we do. And honestly, I think that's kind of the beauty of web series, is that there's so much flexibility that you can experiment. You're not limited to any kind of length or trying to please any sort of executives. God, if someone gave me an executive to please, I'd be like, yes, please, I'll take it. I will do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as is the case, isn't it? You have sponsors and stuff like that. So, like I said earlier, like I said to other people, is you've got more creative freedom now than you will do at any other point in your career, ever. You know what I mean? To do whatever you want. You don't have to please, you don't have to worry about swearing, you don't have to worry about anything, or whatever. It's just you can go for it and do it, because often it can be too many cooks in the kitchen and you have to change every little thing, or something offends somebody, so you have to take that out or remove it, or so it's great that you should really take this opportunity and really go for whatever it is you want to make, really, and that's fantastic, and that's what you've certainly gone with this. So you've gone and you've finished your pilot. So, because I was saying, Elena, Lisa, you edited it together, didn't you? You did that side of it. And when it was finished, what did you do with it initially when it was finished? Did you have like a mini screening first, or was it just, what happened there when it was finished, guys?
Well, I'm thinking like, okay, we finished before COVID, but we did send it to a small group of trusted friends and family and people whose creative opinions were important to us, and did like a survey to kind of do our own little audience test. I don't think we changed too much though, right?
Was there something then in particular then, when you say you didn't change too much, was there something that didn't gel, or?
I don't think so. I don't think much. This was a very long time ago if we're still focusing on the pilot. No, it was like very general notes in a way that like we didn't have to do reshoots or anything like that. We were lucky that the response was very positive. It was just general notes from, you know, our friends who are also in the industry or our post professionals or things like that. So we didn't make many changes from the survey screenings. And then we did, when we started crowdfunding with the pilot, we did have a launch of the crowdfunding campaign, a party, and invited people who would support to kind of kick everything off. And so everyone who was at that party got to see the pilot. And the like admission for the party was to donate to the campaign just to give it a nice little initial boost.
Yeah, great. Can I just pick up straight on that then? Because I was going to say, I was chatting to some other creators about kind of the coolness of crowdfunding and how many kind of incentives you can then create with your own things. So can we just go into that for a little bit then? So you've got your pilot, you're all set up, you're now approaching making more episodes, you want to try and crowdfund. So what incentives was there then in your crowdfunding campaign to get it moving? What do you have? So you had the party there. What else was there then?
Yes, we had the party. I'll talk about one particular partnership we had that was great. And then Elaine did really great work with the other thing. So I'll toss it to her with the other perks that we did. But we were able to partner with Babeland, which is a sex toy shop chain in New York, and they were really fantastic with us. They're kind of an extremely feminist and progressive place, so they gave us some things to give away, which we did at the party. Do a little raffle for some fun things from Babeland, so that was very fun. And
was that at the opening party? Was it?
We had we had a big prize at the opening party, and then we had some little prizes that we did a limited run for people like not located here. So we mailed out some little prizes that we did a limited run for those.
Yeah, it was a perk. It was like one of the perk tiers. And we used Seed and Spark for our crowdfunding, and they were awesome. We highly recommend. They're super helpful. They give you a lot of education before you start, which we would have been lost without. And social media, I mean, you know, you could say a lot about the terrible things about social media, but man, was it great to crowdfund on. It was awesome. And I mean, it was a lot of work. We were posting constantly, and you feel like you're harassing people, but it's what you got to do. And people get excited about it. And you know, it's always, if you can't donate, just share the project, and that does so much more than people realize that it does.
Yeah. If you can't donate, sell a kidney, innit? Just, you know.
Right.
Exactly.
There's always a way there. Fantastic. So I love the way as well, you know, you've lined up someone to partner with as well before you do your kind of opening nights. You've already got some incentives there. That's great and stuff. Can I ask, how much was you going for with your crowd campaign? How much was you?
We were, I'm like, I could pull
Are
it
you
up
looking
right
it up?
now.
Okay, great. I was
20.
like, I can do it if you can.
We were going for 20, but we managed to get enough to get greenlit. We made 16.8, I think.
Fantastic.
The other very cool thing about Seed and Spark is that they will let you accept donations of goods rather than money. So, for example, we were able to. There's another local restaurant that lent us their space to shoot in for free. So we were able to use that as like, okay, what would that have cost? And that helped us get to our goal. Because it's a 80%, I think you need to hit in order to keep the funds. So we were able to make our goal with a lot of those like
in-kind donations.
Yeah, the in-kind, right. Thank you, Catherine.
Of course.
So that was great.
We also, it amazes me how generous people are. I mean, that was a big lesson, I think, you know, in the crowdfunding. The wardrobe, a lot of the wardrobe was a donation from a plus size designer named Ashley Nell Tipton. She won Project Runway a few years ago. We reached out to her and she sent me almost her entire line. And so a lot of the clothing was hers. It was great.
Fantastic. Isn't it nice when you put it out there and people, come into it? And that's it's kind of why you need to be brave and crowdfund. But when I say brave, because you think, oh, should we do it? And then you do it. And then you're often surprised and overwhelmed when the universe and people and friends and, you know what I mean? And businesses then believe in your vision. And then
it was also it became very apparent to us how much people want to see content like this, because we were able to reach out to a bunch of, body positive influencers and fat activists and like these people who have platforms online already who are advocating for more representation in media. So they were able to kind of back us up just by putting it in front of their followers, or podcasts. We talk. And one of the other things we did actually that I would recommend to anybody who is crowdfunding is we made content that was interesting regardless of if you wanted to help us crowdfund. So we did interviews with like one example would be Christy Harrison, who's an dietitian. She's amazing, she's brilliant, and we were able to get her for an interview. So we were able to post that, so then it brought people to our account because we were having an interview with these or like a plus size model, Stephanie Malik, we were able to interview, put that up there, and that brings her followers to us. So it was just like a kind of a whirlwind of content that ended up, teaching us a lot about who our audience was.
Yeah, I love that. I love just, you've got your initial idea and then, like you say, you're brave enough to crowdfund, and then, you realize, bless you.
Oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
So cute.
Sorry.
I think my, not that'll be an outtake, but I think my funniest outtake is when I've got like a little green studio here in the house, and then my sister came round with her dog, and as I'm doing an interview with, I can't remember, it was with, I just remember the dog being at the door going. So I'm in the middle of asking about the future of web series and where we think this exciting medium's going. And I'm going, I said, sorry. I said, my sister's dog's at the door. I said, I've got to go and get it. And they spat. I said, no. I said, I'm actually going to have to leave and just open the door, because once the dog sees me, it'll calm down and go, but it has to see me first. So I've not shown that outtake yet on Instagram, but I will show the dog when he comes up. But yeah. So.
Yeah, everybody loves a puppy.
But that's what's nice about the kind of medium we're in now and stuff, is that you kind of, you do see, we can't physically connect, but we're still here doing it now, aren't we, and stuff. We're in our homes and we're still connecting, even though things are kind of opening up a bit more now. But it's nice, isn't it, that I think through this kind of pandemic and other things, we've kind of used to this new way of progressing anyway, isn't it? So it's nice,
it's a silver lining.
Yeah, from jolly old England to New York, we're still, we're still here, aren't we, talking, which is great.
Exactly.
Filmmakers, and we're all uniting, and that's lovely to see. Cool. So you managed to get, I think you said, Catherine, 16.8, did you say? Perfect. So when you went for that money, what was the main aspect then of spending on the budget? So you had your 16,000 or so. Where did the money kind of go with that? Where was you planning on pumping the main production amount into? Where was that? Who wants to jump in there? Anyone?
I can. We still tried to kind of be as scrappy as possible with the extremely generous donations that we got. So we knew we wanted to save a good amount for post-production and festival entries. So a lot of the money was spent on paying the cast. I think the camera things were in-kind donations. So
I think it was discounted.
yeah, it was
camera.
discounted. So
But a
so
good amount
What
of
did
the-
you what did you shoot on out of interest? What was you shooting on for this?
It was a C100, Canon C100.
Perfect, yeah.
Which we loved. It was great.
right.
Yeah,
It's
Canon.
portable. We did a lot of kind of run and gun shooting in like questionable locations that we may or may not have been allowed in. So it was great to have like a very flexible camera.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah. I'm all about guerrilla filmmaking, and often, yeah, if you get a really high quality Canon, they say the only filming permission you need is the connection to put it around your neck. You know, the cable, because then you're a tourist all of a sudden. You know what I mean? So that's
Yes.
you
Yep.
can get all sorts. Just going back to at least there a second there. So when you said in kind of post production, where else was the money going there? You said festivals. You wanted to leave a little pot towards festivals, and what else in post production was you reserving money for there?
Audio mixing. We, since Elaine and I are professional editors for our day job, we know how important getting a really lovely mix is, because it's one of those subliminal things that if it's bad, people just think the whole thing is bad, because they can't really pinpoint why. So we wanted to save a good amount for that. And then it was for
Well, for Rich for doing that custom score.
that's true.
Mhm.
Which was worth
True.
every penny.
So beautiful.
Yes, he scored the our friend Rich Aveo, who's an extremely talented musician. Check his stuff out. He's getting TikTok famous. It's very exciting.
Give us a link. It will go on the screen now for
yeah, I'll send it to you. He's incredibly talented. He did the score for the clown episode. So we sent him the edit, and he improvised the song and the music to it, and
Wow.
we tightened it up from there, but it didn't need much, because we knew he has kind of a jazz background, and so that was very fun. He's incredibly talented. That was great. We were so lucky to work with him on that. What else? Money.
Our other big thing that I know we going in said like we need to save a lot for this was the clown episode in general, because it was the only it was the only time where we rented a location, because we rented like a sound stage for that. And it was cool because we never really had gotten a chance to work like that. We're usually on location.
What for the shop interior, was it, or?
No, it was the sort of a creepy basement situation where she's running away from the dress ones, like the torsos. Because we really wanted it to turn into this kind of like otherworldly creepy, and we did watch a lot of like Chaplin films of like when things get creepy in old black and white films, like what does it look like, and everything's very shadowy and kind of like we liked having that blank space that we could put things on, and the shapes are so important in black and white because it's all there is. You can't put a pop of color in there. So that a lot of money also went to that space. And we didn't buy mannequins. We thought we were gonna have to spend money on the mannequins.
No, we bought some mannequins, but not as many as we thought we were going to. Elaine, you want to tell that story?
Well, shout out to our friend Sophie Worm, who knew we were making this. She's a good friend of ours, and she's actually an extra in that episode as well. Yes. And she knew I had said, like joking around, I was like, oh, I got to find some mannequins. If anybody sees any on the street, let me know. The next day she calls me, and she works with me. So we're in the same office, and she's like, hey, on your way into the office, walk down this block. I think there are mannequins like wrapped up. And side note, Alyssa has a fear of mannequins, a legitimate phobia of human-like things.
It was
So-
my worst. That whole day and that whole project was my worst nightmare. So I had to put Elaine in charge of it because I truly couldn't. Like, there were
We were
parts
so
of
proud
that
of
day
you.
where I had to like go face the wall and be like, "You guys deal with it." I
You did
can't."
great. You
Thank
did
you.
great.
It was
So
really
I text,
hard.
you were amazing. But then, like me being the terrible friend that I am, walk by, take a picture of what looks like dead bodies wrapped up in black plastic bags on the street. And I take a picture and I send it to Alyssa, like not thinking. I'm like, hey, look what I found. She's like, oh my God, what is that? So then my friend Sophie helps me drag. It's been raining. They're wet. She helps me drag after hours this like heaping body bag into our office and like store it in a back room, and then we finally are able to unwrap it, and like, yes, it was mannequin parts from a shop that had closed down or whatever, and it was a great find because those things are expensive.
Very expensive. Very expensive.
Wow.
So thank you to whatever store that was that threw
Yeah.
out their mannequins because we needed them.
That's beyond serendipitous, isn't it? You know, you need mannequins and someone's throwing out mannequins. How often does that happen? It's
Yeah. Yeah.
Very lucky.
So you've got your budget, you're ready for the main one, you've put it into the camera and all sorts there. So you've scripted your episodes there together. So was there any main difference then, just picking up on something before then with casting the main episodes to the pilot then? Was there, because you've mentioned before you pay people more in this one, was it, or was there any differences in that then, would you say? Or
Casting wise, you mean like how we found people?
yeah,
all
just because it
friends.
sounded, was it the same again? It just sounded like it was going to, great, yeah.
Yeah, no, all friends and colleagues. Yeah,
Right.
every person, we didn't have to hold auditions or anything like that. And I ended up, I mean, the way that I write anyway, I tend to write with people I know in mind. And so I already knew like, oh, I definitely want this person to play. So it all worked out.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, great.
We did audition for one role, which was the doctor.
Right.
It was not in the episodes that were submitted to you guys. It's in the 2 that are in the full series. But that role, Catherine can speak more to this, but it was New York, sorry.
What have you done? What's going on?
There's the siren. Yeah, they're coming.
They found you.
That role was a super important one because that scene is incredibly intense and one of the few that is a plus size issue that we didn't really take a comedic bend on because it is a serious discrimination issue. So that role we did audition for, and we did end up going with someone who Elaine and I has worked with before. So it worked out really well and he nailed it. But yeah, Catherine can speak a little bit more to that scene in particular.
Yeah, because I've not seen these, have I? It's the ones I've not seen. So
Right.
Yeah, there are
coming out in
2
a few
more.
weeks,
I was a bit like, thanks, guys.
The best
It
episodes
sounds,
you've ever
it
seen.
sounds really good. It sounds really intense and good. And I'm like, yeah. Oh, you didn't send it.
Sorry, it's coming out next week.
We
Next
sent
week.
it to
It
the
is.
English. We sent it to the English Web Awards, not the British Web Awards.
Oh, what's the link for that?
Those guys. Sorry, Catherine. So yeah.
No, that's
So
okay.
this amazing episode I've not been able to see. Hang on.
So this was for the last of the season finale, the
Oh, wow,
Mumblecore
okay.
episode. And there is a scene I wanted to. It's a cathartic moment for the character. She's had quite enough. And this scene is the straw that breaks the camel's back for her. A big issue with fat people is the subpar medical treatment that we receive. As a big person, you go into the doctor for a headache or a weird lump on your leg, or whatever, and it's immediately blamed on your size. And this is actually a huge problem, because people end up dying of things like cancer because doctors don't take them seriously. And so testing isn't necessarily ordered right away when it should be. And as a bigger person, you have to advocate for yourself in a way in the doctor's office that's kind of ridiculous. You have to, I've had situations where I've had to say, oh, okay, so you're not going to do any testing. Can you please note that on the chart? To any plus size people out there watching this is a tip. Ask them, please document that you have refused testing in the chart, and then they change their tune, But anyway, I wanted a scene addressing this to be like the moment for this character where she's had enough. And we needed to cast somebody who could capture the gravity of the situation, who could come off like a total dick,
but isn't in real life.
No, he's wonderful in real life. And I had forgotten that you guys sent me a self tape that he did. I've completely forgotten. His name's Nico, and he did a fantastic job. It was really, because that was a vulnerable scene for me to shoot, and I felt he did a great job. He was very available and a great scene partner for that.
We kind of find ourselves kind of going back in a circle, which is fantastic, which is, it goes back to putting something up on the screen that you haven't seen, and it goes to something like that, which is an important issue, and probably is happening as well all the time. So, and even before, when we were talking about it, Catherine, you said, a tip for anyone, ask them, now about making sure it's documented. That's so true. And it's kind of like, you can be so helpful through putting your kind of, things on the screen there, isn't it? You can really affect and help people by putting issues up on there on the screen. And not only that, if you look at it, not only is it entertaining, but it's entertaining because it's true, and it's engaging because of that. You think, my God, shit like this happens, and it's nice to kind of pull people up and say, look at it more closely. So that
and
sounds like my favorite episode. So not that I've seen it, so
I wanted to make it relatable too. That was you want your audience to identify with the main character. Yeah,
great. So that sounds to me the most potent kind of episode. That's the finale, is it?
And it'll be online live. We're on Sika TV. We can go over this later too, but we're on Sika TV. Episode 3 was released yesterday, and the next 2 will be released every Monday, 2 more Mondays. So that one will be 2 Mondays from yesterday.
And we'll put a link underneath you there for Sika TV as well, which is great.
Thank you.
Terrific. Perfect. Okay, guys. Well, that's great. We're up to there. So you've made your episodes, and I know what happens towards the end there. What's going on with the future of Big Girl? What's happening there? Are you making a season 2? What's going on? Can we announce anything? Do you know?
We haven't announced anything.
No official announcements.
No official announcements.
But no greater platform than this.
Yeah, exactly. We we were working on launching the series to the public, which is currently happening. As Elaine mentioned earlier, our 3rd episode, the clown episode, launched yesterday, which was so exciting. So the whole thing's going to be out by the end of the month, I believe. And honestly, with the changes in the world and our jobs and things of that nature, we've kind of put future talks on hold until things settle. So once the world calms down a little bit and the first season is out, then we'll talk about it. But I think it's something we're all kind of interested in. We're just going to see how the world shakes out.
Yeah, because going back to kind of British content a second, like you heard of the series, Only Fools and Horses. Have you heard of that series? No, that's fine. That's a terrible example. I mean, of the Sherlock series with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman.
That one.
Yeah. Okay. Great recovery, Chris. I had a secondary example already laid up.
It's like Americans love Benedict Cumberbatch.
Thank God. But the good news is with that series is, Benedict and Martin Freeman, they pick it up every 3 years, 4 years sometimes. You know what I mean? So when you've got great characters, like you've established here with your series, you can pick it up in 2 years' time or 3 years' time. There's no rush on that. So it's great. You've done the hard work, which is establishing the character and the series and the direction, and all of them are great. So, don't worry about anything else. You can just pick it up when it suits you, really, because there will still be an audience, waiting to listen to it. I'll still be here waiting to see what's happened with that. I'll be genuinely interested, invested, thinking, great, where's it going from here? So that's great. Just to backtrack slightly then, because, my journalistical integrity there has kind of zigzagged everywhere through my own path there. So once you've made your kind of series, then what was at the end of that kind of, in terms of, I know you're now on Seeker TV, but what was the path then leading to that? What was your distribution plan when you'd finished? What was that like? Anyone want to jump in there?
Yeah, it's seconded.
That was it. That was our distribution plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a horse out.
Yeah. I mean, we were learning. It is stressful. And this has been a process I think we've all been learning on our feet.
Yeah.
And, we found Sika because we noticed throughout the festival circuit, on social media, projects will follow you if you've been in the same festival. And I started noticing, I think I saw this link for Sika TV. I looked it up and I thought, oh, wow. And I brought it to the girls and we thought, yes, let's definitely submit, and we were, we were looking at some other places that would want to have derivative rights to the show, and absolutely not, I'm not comfortable with that.
In what way do you mean? Like, in what type of control was they after? Was it?
It was it's a website specific to comedy where in their terms and conditions, it was clear that by signing off, anybody could take an idea from the series or take the series and remake it or do, and
yeah,
no.
And we found that was true. I'll break in and then I'll let you finish.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
We found that was true for a lot of services. And honestly, we had a really hard time with that. Even YouTube and some of these really big platforms, once you put it out, then it's theirs and not yours. And we were trying to be really careful with where we distributed because it is so near and dear to us, and particularly to Catherine, that we didn't want to take any big risks there. So we were trying to be really cautious in regards to putting it out to the world.
Yeah, and as indie filmmakers, your IP is your thing. You don't want to be careless with it.
Yeah.
And Sika TV is great. They're incredibly supportive. There's no paywall for subscribers. There are no ads, and we retain the rights to our show. I mean, it's amazing.
That's great. So so that was just kind of ended up there, and you say, I mean, it sounds some bloody horror stories there, doesn't there? Where just after we've spent as long as we have talking about the beauty of your story and the path of it, that you think it could just quite as easily be kind of almost forgive the term, but bastardized, couldn't it? Quite easily, someone could just take that, rip it up, and turn it into whatever they like, leave out all the important bits, about real life, and
Right.
so fantastic. So at least you've got somewhere that's great and looking after you, and that's awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's absolutely lovely to hear that you've landed it, and we're just going to see where the world lands next.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got my vaccines. I'm ready.
Yes. I saw on Instagram you got your second one, didn't you? There. Also, on your because Catherine, you posted this Instagram video, didn't you, when you were getting your second one, and they had this beautiful kind of band playing in the vaccination centre. Beautiful music. Beautiful music. Yeah,
absolutely. It was the Javits Center in New York City, and for both times I went for vaccine number 1 and vaccine number 2. And oh gosh, I wish I could think of the name of the little symphony that was playing. I will look it up and let you know
when you do, and we'll put it beneath the screen.
Great. That would be great. They with the little waiting area where you go to recover, they would play beautiful music, and I just thought it was such a lovely thing. I love New York City so much, and it was just such a moment of, oh, I love where I live and I love New York City, and this is so wonderful. So yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, on a flip coin, it's kind of like, when Titanic was sinking, they had people still playing. Not in a bad way, but I'm just saying it's like, they had people playing music, but it wasn't like the boat was sinking. And this situation, the boat's rising, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we've got a vaccine and we're getting out of it, aren't we? But it's true, music in moments of potential stress are wonderful. That's a good recovery, isn't it? Because I didn't. Elaine, you scared me with your laugh. It was so.
That was so funny.
Even I was thinking, what did I say? That wasn't bad. Sure.
The Javits Center sinking. Oh God. No, but you're right. You're right. Music makes all the difference, and that applies to filmmaking as well.
Yeah, I mean, but going back to the center there, people might have been feeling anxious, and you're just relaxing, which is what they're there for, and that's lovely. And I thought that when I saw your video, Catherine, on Instagram, I was like, that's lovely. I didn't get anything like that in mind. I just got pushed forward, take your jab there. Just to quickly before we go, I spoke to the people who made Sloppy Jones in Canada, and the last kind of question I spoke to them about was just generally off filmmaking. It was about the pandemic and just kind of their experiences with that. And just to quickly perhaps go around on that note, is there any kind of pros or cons of this pandemic experience that have affected you guys? Is there anything more in lockdown you've done more of in terms of filmmaking, or just generally anything to do with the lockdown experience and yourselves? Is there anything you'd like to comment on with that at all? Going first, maybe Catherine, anything there?
Sure. I mean, certainly this past year has been so difficult for everybody. I would so love to be living in precedented times again. But one lesson I think that I've taken, or one thing that I've taken advantage of, I think as an artist, there is certainly living in New York City, I'm sure everywhere else, there's a pressure to produce, this pressure to hustle and so it's been nice to allow myself to breathe creatively. And truly, I've got a script for a totally different project that's come out of it that I just finished a draft for this weekend. And being able to write not under pressure has really allowed me to open myself up creatively, I think, in a way that is new. And so that has been lovely, allowing yourself to fish for the ideas, and it just hasn't felt as fraught I guess.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it fascinating? Because it can go two ways, can't it? When you think I'm writing for a deadline, so the, tension's
Mhm.
there, procrastination's gone, and you smash it, or sometimes the reverse, the pressure's taken off and the ideas come forward. So it's
Right.
it's fascinating. It's fascinating. Lisa, any experiences on?
I would second what Catherine said. I think it, especially in New York, like she said, but I think in other any industry heavy kind of town, especially when your community is in the same industry that you are, the hustle culture can be really draining, and the need to consistently have a side project.
What was the
and-
importance of having a side project, would you say, just to people out there? What would you say?
Ooh, that's
No,
I don't
always to
know.
have something on the second burner. What would you say there?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if it's a New York cultural thing. It's definitely something that I feel like I experience, but I feel like people always kind of have their day job and then a thing that they do.
Yeah.
And so to stay busy on the thing that you do can end up being really draining, and then you have no time left for yourself. And so I think a kind of forced break has been really helpful and really restorative to, like, realign your priorities if you need to, or to be inspired again to make the things that you do love to make and remember why you love to make them, instead of just constantly feeling like you need to churn out more. So in that way, I'm grateful for that piece of it. I won't say I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for aligning.
There's honestly, there's magic there in what you've said. Honestly, that's true, isn't it? Because you're always working so hard constantly. You're kind of in the hamster's wheel, aren't you? Like you say, and you're working, but what you're working for is usually the secondary thing there, and that's what often gets put to the sidelines. And so it's nice, so, and it's, for Christ's sake, you think hopefully this won't happen that often anymore. This is a rare
Knock on your
thing.
desk for me, please. Don't jinx
it. No. I'm knocking on, and it is made of wood, so we're okay.
Thank you.
That's English wood effect.
Good, perfect.
We'll take it.
It's not pine wood. They're too busy not making Bond films at the minute. But anyway, so and Elaine, would you like to add anything there?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with both Catherine and Alyssa on that. I think also, from a filmmaking standpoint, people have had to become very flexible if they want to keep making content. And I think from what I've experienced, with my day job and just seeing what other content is being put out there right now, I think that we're starting to have to rely back on like sort of a different quality of work. Like it's really easy to like take out a red camera if you have the money and shoot like beautiful sweeping drone scenes of Manhattan or whatever. But like now, like we're kind of seeing a lot more like very personal stories and like, or unscripted things like this, like being able to have a legitimate, like deep conversation about creativity, and that is going out into the world where maybe it wouldn't have before. So I think we're just kind of like, it's giving us an opportunity to go back to kind of the bare bones of what can be entertaining, and that's mostly like humans being humans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
100%.
That's what I
got.
Yeah.
No, perfect, 100%. And those questions I've asked there, I'm generally interested because that's lovely responses to it, because that's real life, and that's what we're all into, and it's kind of been something different for everyone you know, who's had to deal with this. So it's lovely to speak to them. The only question I didn't ask, which is rather embarrassing, which is top of the list here, is, you know, after phrase, I find a way of phrasing this into the interview. But how was your experience at the British Web Awards? We should have asked that at some point. The only bloody product placement interview we've done. I was honestly, I was so interested in everyone's interview, I forgot to actually ask at all about that. But, if anyone would like to say anything positive about the British Web Awards.
We're so grateful to you all. You were so supportive of us. I mean, we were blown away by the number of nominations you gave us. I have to tell you, the day that the the award ceremony was happening, I was getting my hair colored at the time. But it was so sweet. My hairdresser is like my friend, and she had her iPad up, and I have like these foils in my hair, and like all the winds were coming up, and it was a delight and an honor. I'm so honored. Thank you so much for being so supportive and acknowledging, you know, all of our hard work.
No, because honestly, so first of all, yeah, it's a pleasure to do. And I mentioned this to an earlier interview. I was saying sometimes when you know, you're judging episodes and you're judging entries, it's like you've got a membership to a new exclusive independent TV channel, because you get to see all types of things. And yeah, there's some fantastic things out there which, God bless, perhaps you wouldn't have had the chance to see otherwise. You know what I mean? Which is not only the importance of judging festivals, but festivals where they screen work and stuff. And you know, we're working on things next year where we could screen it online and things, you know, different examples, because it's fantastic. But from my own experience as well, sometimes when you've worked so hard on a project and you don't get recognition, when you finally do off a festival, it feels great, doesn't it? You think, you know, fucking hell, I shouldn't swear, but anyway, you think, Christ,
you're in good company. But yes, absolutely, it was dreamy to be even selected, but nominated and winning stuff was truly amazing. Like, we were just speechless, like.
Yeah, so excited. And yeah, you know, your guys' festival was kind of the penultimate of our festival experiences. Probably one of the best times and some of the most recognition we've had. So it feels very personal to us that you guys were so kind and so supportive to our project, because we love it so much. So we just, you know, can't thank you enough.
Lovely. Great, thank you very much. That's lovely to hear. It's, you know, I feel like an advert saying it's designed by filmmakers for filmmakers.
I mean,
it's what it feels like, because I'm a filmmaker, and I've said to some other people in interviews, it's like I made something that I would be like, if that was my show, I'd love to see that. You know what I mean? If somebody came on and said that, or if somebody suddenly appeared and read that. And one of my biggest aspirations with it is to, I think that the web world, you know, and the TV world, they're colliding faster than we could imagine now. You know, in the space of 10 years, you know what I mean, from coming out of nowhere. So I always love to tie as much of the kind of TV and mainstream into the British Web Awards, because I feel that's the way it's going anyway. And you know, it is fascinating. Stream, you know, and you're at the mercy of the mainstream. And what you guys are doing is creating your own content, because if you were waiting for mainstream, you could be waiting forever and then some, and then it would never happen anyway, because who knows what frame of mind they're in when it comes to casting, or it comes to promoting, or it comes to, you know, budget allocation. Make your own stuff, showcase your own stuff, you know, be your own producers, which you guys are. And it's fantastic to see. So keep doing what you're doing, because, you know what I mean, you can't rely on the big firms. But if you make your own stuff and you get a big enough following, you'll make them listen. You know what I mean? And if that's when you get attention, and that's when you get to do it. You can't just say, we're going to do this. You have to say, we've done this. Here it is. You know what I mean? It's on this network now. It's won those awards now. You know what I mean? But that was our idea. And that's what separates you from people saying, you know, next year I'm thinking of making this idea, or 2 years' time I'm thinking of making that idea. You've done it. You know what I mean? And that should be applauded. You know what I mean? You haven't mucked around. You've done it. So well done to you guys. That's
Thank you.
Well, it's genuine, honestly. Yeah, fantastic. Well, and then, if no one else likes to add anything apart from that, would anyone else like to add anything for a roundup, or are we okay?
I think we're good.
We're good. That's been
Watch
an
Big
absolute
Girl on
great.
Sika TV, ladies and gentlemen.
link.
Yeah.
Link is down there. I think that is by 6 minutes my longest interview.
We
Aww.
can talk.
No.
Imagine our meetings.
Honestly, I would argue when you say you can talk, I could say I could listen, and that's genuine. Honestly, honestly, I love that. I've got another bunch of questions we haven't got round to actually, but that's been fascinating. I've loved that. Honestly, that's been great. So,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure, honestly, pleasure, and we're looking forward to whatever path your careers unfold next. Please, you know, has Catherine left us?
No, I'm here. Sorry.
The stream cut off. She's had
My
enough.
phone is about to. I'm doing this from my iPhone, and it's about to croak.
I'm not surprised. We started in 2020, and we're just
right.
Anyway, pleasure, my friend. Honestly, great, and please get in contact with any new things that crop up. And I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you all. It's been great. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
See you later.